Hi, I'm Dr. Kathy Campbell, and we're here to talk about the impact of food on your body. And we're going to discuss Carb Counting 101 to start giving you the skill set to start understanding what the food is doing to your body. So, what you want to know is food is the chemistry of life. We're basically a bag full of chemistry and a dose of God, and food is the chemistry that really runs our machine. Food is also information. So when we eat something, that food actually directs our body to respond to it and gives us a direction on breaking down fat, processing carbohydrates. So it's informing our body of what it needs to do with the incoming nutrition. Not all food is the same. We've kind of been taught that calories are what count, but I'm going to tell you, they're not the same. It's the chemistry, not the calories, that really count. A 250 calorie donut is very different to the body and has very different information for the body than a 250 calorie chicken breast and asparagus. So what you want to know is it's the chemistry, not the calories, that count. Nutrients are the foods and liquids that supply the body with the chemicals necessary for metabolism. And metabolism is what has to happen for life. So nutrients are the chemicals we need. There are different categories of nutrients. There's the macronutrients, which are the big nutrients, and those consist of protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And then there's the micronutrients, really important. These are the vitamins and minerals that actually help the macronutrients get broken down and processed into energy. And of course, there's water. We can't forget water. Carbohydrates are one of the three main classes of foods and a source of energy. Carbohydrates are mainly sugars and starches that the body breaks down into glucose. There's simple carbohydrates, and then there's complex carbohydrates. The simple ones are basically your sugars. They are easily and quickly digested and absorbed into the small intestine. They are often starches and simple sugars like glucose and lactose. And then there's a whole category called fructans, which are the fructose chemicals. And then there's sucrose, which we all may know as table sugar, which is actually a molecule of glucose and a molecule of fructose. And then there's a whole nother category of carbohydrates called complex carbohydrates. And when you want to think about this is fiber. So these carbohydrates are very resistant to digestion in the small intestine and actually require help. They require bacterial fermentation located in the large intestine for them to be processed. They often feed the bacteria and are critical for the bacteria in being able to produce other chemicals that our body actually require. So fiber feeds your bacteria. And they also are, as we all know, nature's broom. They often will help excrete and digest toxins. So fiber is really important. We know with a lot of current research that decreasing obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular disease is a direct proportion to the amount of dietary fiber you consume. And what's happened over the last several decades with the advent and increase in processed foods, we got rid of the fiber. Fiber is often found in all of the plants that we eat. And you got to remember, not all carbohydrates, not all calories are the same. So if we look at this 32-ounce soda, it contains 750 calories with zero fiber versus 750 calories of broccoli, 57 grams of fiber, and a whopping 24 cups of broccoli. Those are very different chemistries, very different information for the body, and they produce very different results in our systems and our health. So we're going to introduce you to this concept of carbohydrate counting or carb counting. And with each food, there's often a nutrition fact associated with it. You can also find out these information if you Google or go to the internet and basically ask what is the carbohydrate content of whatever food you're looking for. But when you have a nutrition facts label, you want to train your eye to go to total carbohydrates. Total carbohydrates minus the dietary fiber will give us what we're looking for in net carbohydrates. So let's look at a very commonly consumed meal in our society. So for breakfast, let's look at a bagel. One bagel has 56 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber. That gives us a net carbohydrate of 54 grams. On that bagel, we're going to have an ounce of cream cheese, which is 1 carbohydrate, 0 fiber, and 1 net carb. We're going to have a couple sodas through the day, which is a very large 80 grams of carbohydrates, no fiber, and so our net carbohydrate is 80 grams. We're going to have some fries for lunch. 6-ounce portion is 34 grams of carbohydrate, 3 grams of fiber, and a net carbs of 31 grams. And with that, we're going to have some chicken nuggets, which the 6 pieces will give us 17 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fiber, and 16 grams of net carbohydrates for a meal of 188 grams of total carbohydrate. We've got 6 grams of dietary fiber and a net carbohydrate of 182 net carbs. So let's look at a different meal. Let's have some eggs for breakfast. I think we're going to make an omelet. We have 3 whole eggs, gives us 3 carbohydrates with 0 fiber and a net carbohydrate count of 3 grams. We want some cheese in that omelet, so a 1/4 cup will give us 1 gram total, 0 fiber, 1 gram net carbs. We have some mushrooms we're going to add to this. 1 cup of mushrooms will give us 3 grams of total carbohydrate, 1 gram of fiber, 2 grams of net carbohydrates. I'm going to put some salsa on my omelet. A 1/4 cup is, or 4 grams of total carbohydrate, 1 gram of fiber. That gives us a net carbohydrate of 3 grams. Let's have some stir fry for lunch. I'm going to have some shrimp and vegetable stir fry. 2 cups will give us a total carbohydrate of 18 grams, 6 grams of fiber with a net carb of 12 grams. We're going to have some brown rice with that stir fry. 1 cup is 44 grams of total carbohydrate, 4 grams of fiber, 40 grams of net carbs. And I want some edamame, which is 16 grams of total carbohydrate, 8 grams of fiber, which gives us a net carbs of 8 grams. We end up with 79 grams of total carbohydrate. We've got 20 grams of fiber and 59 net carbohydrates. So let's compare. Let's do one trick. Let's take out, instead of having brown rice, let's look at cauliflower rice. That is 1 cup of cauliflower will drop our carb count tremendously to 5 grams of total carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, bringing us to a tiny 3 grams of net carbohydrates. And if we compare the two, that one little change from brown rice to cauliflower rice has a profound impact on the information in these meals. So let's look at the standard American diet with this first meal. 188 grams of total carbohydrates, 6 grams of fiber, 182 net carbs, compared to these 2 options. With brown rice, we have a 59 net carbs. With cauliflower rice, we have 22 net carbs. Very different. What you want to realize about carbohydrates is all carbohydrates basically turn to sugar. And so these 2 meals provide us very different information that our body is having to manage. What we do know is reducing overall carbohydrate intake for individuals with diabetes or prediabetes has shown the most evidence for improving blood sugar and should be applied in a variety of different ways that meet each needs. We know that being responsible, understanding your carbohydrates, and reducing those carbohydrates can make a profound difference in your health. We are a very misnourished, if not malnourished society. And the standard American diet gives us the illusion that we have nutrition, but clearly there's not enough chemistry in the standard American diet to properly run a healthy body. So here is your health skill. Over the next 24 hours, I challenge you to do an audit of the food you eat and what they consist of. Calculate what your total carbohydrates of each of those meals are, calculate how many grams of fiber, and then calculate your net carbohydrates. this information can be very powerful as you really understand and start being responsible for your health and have this tool that will make a profound difference.